Hey everyone, Ronan here, and welcome back to the channel. We got another massive part today as we continue the league in the Hoenn region, but before we get into that, we gotta shout out the patron as usual, so Seamet12, thank you very much for the support. And please, don't forget to drop a like and a comment to help fuel the algorithm on the video, and if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing and turn on notifications so that way you'll never miss another upload from the channel. And if you want to support us even further, please consider becoming a patron or a YouTube channel member. You get exclusive access to content that I don't post here on the main channel, and early access to everything that I do. But with all that being said, let's get into What If Ash Won the Hoenn League, Part 20. I hope you enjoy. We begin today's part with Ash and Morrison in the eatery at the Pokemon Center the night of the top 8 battles. Both are talking about the day's events. While Ash was able to secure his position in the top 8 on a knife's edge, Morrison had similar luck, when the only reason he won was because his Steelix was able to outlast his opponent and bring down their final Pokemon. While the boy is happy he was able to join his rival, it was the aftermath that really got him thinking and what sparked his conversation with Ash. This is where we flash back to just after Morrison's round, as it was the final match of the day. Mr. Goodshow had announced that the top 4 contestants had been chosen. Ash, Morrison, Tyson, and Katie as well had all made it to the top 4 finals. However, that was not the interesting part. The old man declared that they would not be announcing the pairings for the next day. Instead, he has come up with a way to force the best out of each one of the combatants. They will not know who their opponent is until they meet back here in the main stadium tomorrow. This takes everyone for a loop, as that means that they will not be able to research their opponent and build their Pokemon teams accordingly. Each trainer will have to be in the dark. While they can see the Pokemon that each trainer has and try their best to prepare, the fact of the matter is that there's no way to cover all of their bases, and this will force all of them to think on the fly. This is a bombshell that sends shockwaves throughout not only the crowd, but also the elites and even the champion Steven. Goodshow tells everyone to rest up, because tomorrow they will be deciding the 2 people that are the best suited for the finals of this year's Evergrande conference. The old man then takes his leave as the crowd begins to discuss this amongst themselves. The president then makes his way up to the champion box, only to be hit with a broad line of questions from none other than the champion. Steven demands to know what Goodshow's play is here. The old man simply chuckles. I've been thinking, if Drake really has abandoned us like Glacia claims, then we need a new Elite Four member. Sydney took the place of Moore, though there are some that seem to be a little bit upset about my choice. So, in order to make sure that we have the best person possible, I want them to really prove what they can do. Show us and the world what Hoenn has to offer. I don't know if this is a good idea, Steven says. It completely upends everything that the league has set as a precedent in the past. However, Sydney has his 2 cents to offer on this.
Well, I'm sorry, champ, but I'm gonna have to disagree with you on this one. The old man has a point. We want the best, and if old Drake has flown the coop, then we're gonna need it. Besides, what's the harm in a little stiff competition?
Steven tries to interject, but he is cut off by Glacia.
For once, I'm in agreement with the buffoon. If we would have had this last year, then maybe we wouldn't have had such slim pickings when we needed to replace more.
Glacia says all of this while directing her ire to the weakest of the Elite 3, leaving Sydney with a perplexed look on his face.
Oh, come on, Glace. I know you don't mean that. After all, we're one big happy family.
With a look of absolute vile on her face, Glacia ignores Sydney for the time being, focusing on Goodshow.
With Drake gone, that makes me the de facto strongest member of us. So, I think we need to stop babysitting these competitors and turn the heat up to 11. Otherwise, we will end up with another one of him.
Glacia says as she glares into the soul of Sydney, causing the man to tense up. Goodshow chuckles at this, while Steven finds this a cause for concern. Everyone seems to be on their own page. What will this look like to the fans if we can't present a united front? The old man simply tells Steven not to worry. He's been undefeated for the last 5 years. Out of the 4 Pokemon leagues that Goodshow overlooks, Steven is one of the strongest champions he has. But he had better not lose his focus. Cynthia will have his number otherwise. Steven merely ignores this comment as it's one of Good Show's tactics, as he has a dream that all of his regional champions would one day be able to battle on a grand stage. The old man can see this, so he asks Phoebe for her input on this situation as well.
I only have one concern. I want to battle the strongest of them. How we get there doesn't matter to me. See? Even Phoebe knows it's a good idea. Now let's make the proper arrangements to get the best show possible out of this.
As Glacia takes command of the situation, Steven can't help but to wonder about Drake. Could the disagreement they had in LaRue City really be the cause of this, he thinks to himself, as we move over to Ash and Morrison. After his win, Ash wanted to congratulate the redhead, but as they found each other, they were met with Katie. The cool beauty still has that disdain for Morrison, telling the boy that he is an absolute embarrassment for having made it this far. Katie hopes that she gets the chance to battle him first, as she would love the opportunity to be the one to knock him out of the tournament. Hey, Morrison has earned his right to be here just as much as me and you, Ash yells, a bit frustrated at all the comments that Katie has made. However, she is unfazed. With a simple smile, the girl states that she will see them both in the ring. Oh, and Morrison, Ash won't be able to fight your battles when that happens. Before walking off, leaving Ash gritting his teeth and Morrison a bit nervous as he's beginning to think that Katie is right. This is where we flash back to them in the eatery as Morrison is beginning to panic. He doesn't know what Pokemon to use. The boy has a list of the Pokemon that each person has that he got printed out at the main desk by Nurse Joy, and he looks it over like he is trying to find some sort of secret formula that will guarantee him a win against anyone. This is where Morrison finally looks up to see that Ash is just eating with Pikachu. How are you so calm? Are you not worried? Smiling, nope. I've already got my plan for tomorrow. Looking over Ash's list of Pokemon, Morrison questions how he could decide on 6 that would be the perfect ones to battle the 3 people that he could face. Ash simply states that he didn't. He just went with his gut. Besides, he was able to make the choice pretty quick, since he promised himself that he would only use the Pokemon that he caught here in Hoenn for this tournament. Ash then goes on to explain the reason he told Professor Oak the day before. This is more than just a tournament to him. It's validation that he is a good enough trainer to compete at a high-level event like this. It's his ultimate test, and he will not stray from his goal no matter what. Wow, I wish I had your confidence, Morrison says. Just relax and stop thinking about it. Look, you haven't even touched your food. Ash then challenges Morrison to an eating contest, to which the redhead accepts, stating that he knows this is something that he will not lose at. The two then begin to eat as if it was their last meal, causing everyone inside of the center to take their food back to their rooms, as not to be horrified at the war crimes that are being committed here. While this is happening, we move over to the call center, where we see Brock and Max on the phone with someone that we know very well. Brock asks if she was able to get her sisters to come back to the gym. Smiling, the girl states that only Violet was dumb enough to come when called, but that's all she needs. The gym now has a leader other than herself, so she will be leaving for Hoenn first thing in the morning. According to the trip planner, it will take her about 4 days to reach the region from Cerulean City. Smiling, Brock tells Misty thanks. He knows that she will be a big help. The redhead says it's no problem. However, she questions Ash and his progress in the tournament. The breeder states that Ash will be in the top 4 tomorrow, to which Misty yells that he had better not lose before she gets there, or he will have an earful from her when she sees him. Brock replies that he has not mentioned to Ash that he has called her yet, and plans to keep it that way, so that way he can focus on the battles. Smiling, Misty says that's for the best. She then wishes Brock luck as the call ends. Man, you guys seem really close, Max says. Brock responds that Misty has known Ash longer than he has. When they had to go their separate ways after Ash lost in the Johto League, Misty took it the hardest. So if anyone will be able to help your sister, I think it will be her. I hope you're right, Max thinks as he looks at May sitting at a table staring into space. This leads us to the next morning. We find Ash in the lobby of the Pokemon Center on the phone with Professor Oak. The boy was up late as after his conversation with Morrison, thoughts begin to pelt his head about his team. He could feel that something was off and he wanted to make a last-minute change, as he feels that there's a certain Mon that would fit better with his team composition that he has. Oak questions Ash if he's sure that it's the only one that he wants to change out. With a nod, the boy tells him that it is. All of his other Pokemon are ready to go, but he feels like he has overused this one as of late. And besides, overthinking the situation has never been something that has served him well, so he's going to go with what he has for now. With a smile, Oak wished Ash's luck. He and his mother, as well as Tracy, are all going to be watching his match today. Just know that we are rooting for you. With a smile, Ash hangs up, telling Pikachu that it's it. This is time. They have never made it this far in a regional tournament before, so they need to be ready, cause this is the best that Hoenn has to offer. The mouse lets out a brief pika before the two turn to head out to the stadium. However, there Ash is going to be met with Brock. So, heading out the breeder asks, yeah, I know that we will have an intense battle, so I want to make sure I'm at the stadium early. Can't have what happened in the Indigo League be a repeat. Brock nods, but quickly shifts the conversation. Listen, Ash, I know you have always believed in hard work and dedication to bring you victory. Brock then pulls out the master block that he prepared, but I really think you should give this a chance. I know you saw May's Pokemon and the result that it had for them in the Grand Festival. The boy tells Brock that he knows. He watched it. He could see that May was in a position to win the festival if she would have been a little bit more experienced as a coordinator. Ash then begins to explain the reason why he has been so against it and how he only wants to use his Hoenn Pokemon in this tournament. But the breeder cuts him off. I get that, Ash. You want to see if your skills are where they should be. Starting over was a big choice for you coming to Hoenn, but I think you are holding too much on what happened in the past. Brock explains that Ash's journey in Hoenn mirrored his one in Kanto very closely. After all, he was there for both. However, Ash is stunting his growth by not embracing something that could help him. Skills and hard work will only get you so far. I think you have proven that you are a trainer that can actually beat the best of the best. You have made it farther than any of your other tournament runs, but this is where things will reach another level. You need to stop giving yourself a handicap, thinking that it'll give your victories that much more meaning. There is no reason for you not to give it your all. Use everything at your disposal to get the win. However, Ash seems a little bit irritated by this comment, stating that Brock doesn't know what he is talking about. The past year has been a very challenging one for the boy. He needs this win to validate himself and his accomplishments. Ash begins to walk away, telling Brock that he's never been at this level of competition, so there's no way he can really understand. But Brock, calm as can be, simply asks one question. What about your Pokemon? This causes Ash to stop. They have all worked just as hard as you, Ash. They all want the same thing. Did you ever think about asking if it would be something that they would want? Brock then walks over to the boy and places the master block case in Ash's hand. You have a week until these are no longer able to be used. If you use them after that, then the same side effects that Torkoal had will happen to any one of your Pokemon that you feed them to. Brock then turns. Ash, I think you are a great trainer. Better than me and one of the best I've ever seen. While you did assemble the team that you came here to build, I think you need to ask yourself one question. Are you really a team or just a bunch of Pokemon with a trainer? Building implies that it's not done, so are you done? I say you should let them decide. Give them the chance to determine their future. We'll be watching from the stands. I wish you the best of luck, no matter your decision. Brock then walks off, leaving Ash to make a very important choice. Use the block today, or never use it at all. With the tension reaching a new high within the group, we move over to the Evergrande Stadium locker room. Here we find Morrison, Ash, Tyson, and Katie. They are all waiting for the announcement of who they will be battling. This is where we find Morrison next to Ash. The redhead is talking to the boy. Morrison can't shake his feeling of nervousness, and he hopes that he doesn't choke during the battle, but Ash isn't really paying attention. He can't stop thinking about what Brock said. Morrison yells at Ash to come back to reality. Good Show is making the announcement. This triggers the boy as everyone fixates their eyes on the TV. One by one, each one of the top 4 finalists flash on the screen, showing the randomizer has begun. The tension in the room is starting to mount as Morrison grips his seat, but as the pairings slow, one by one, then flash on the screen. Morrison on the top left, Ash on the top right, Katie on the bottom left, and Tyson on the bottom right. This causes a look of relief to flash across Morrison's face. Looks like we'll be facing each other, Ash. However, this is when a chuckle echoes. You really are dense. Katie then turns to face Morrison. You're facing me. Ash is facing Tyson. This causes Morrison to clench up at the revelation. Well, it looks like I got my wish after all for the top 4 match, but I guess someone would have to be the one to eliminate you, Katie says as she walks out the door. If you're smart, then you won't even show up. I wouldn't want to embarrass you. This causes Morrison to gulp. Then the first response from Ash as he says in a calm, cathartic voice not to let Katie get to him. Morrison earned his place here, so he just needs to battle her with everything that he has. Prove her wrong. Show her that you may be a different type of trainer, but that doesn't make you any less of one than her. For whatever reason, these words have a common effect on Morrison for the moment. Standing up, the boy tells Ash that he better not lose. They still have their battle to do. Ash gives a thumbs up as Morrison heads out with a pep in his step. However, this leaves Tyson as he looks at his top 4 opponent. Smiling, he asks if Ash is ready. They need to get out there. Ash tells Tyson to go ahead. He'll be out there in a moment. There is one thing that he needs to do before heading out. Okay, just remember, we owe it to each other to bring our best, so don't come out there with anything less. Tyson then walks out, with his Meowth giving a brief hiss at Pikachu. The mouse turns to its trainer as he pulls out the 5 Pokeballs that he has on his belt. Pikachu, Brock was right. Ash then calls on all of his Pokemon, as we fade out of the stadium over to Katie, as she has been standing there waiting for Morrison to show up. The girl is beginning to think that he has finally come to his senses, but as the 1-minute warning is called, the boy comes screaming into the stadium, just like he had on opening day, telling them that their future champion is here, so they can finally get started. Well, I thought you made the right choice, Katie says, but I guess that I will have to be the one to pound it into you. Morrison simply states that she won't be getting to him any longer. He's going to let his Pokemon do the talking. With the rules explained to each combatant, they both pull out their first Pokeballs. This is going to be on a rock battlefield. Morrison wastes no time in sending in a Pokemon that he is confident that will bring him his first victory, his Hitmontop. However, Katie has prepared her team for all 3 of the trainers that she could have faced, as her first choice, a Gengar, is going to prove to be most difficult. The first battle starts and Morrison picks a triple kick. However, Katie simply lets it happen as the fighting type uses its impressive spinning to close out this battle. But Gengar simply cackles its name as the attack fails. Morrison doesn't understand, but is too slow to counter as Hitmontop is hit with a Hypnosis. You see, I knew you didn't belong here. You don't even know simple type matchups. Just like I told you before, this battle is mine, but it seems that I'm going to have to make an example out of you to prove it. Now Gengar, use Dream Eater. The ghost's eyes glow as it drains all the health from Hitmontop and hands Morrison his first loss, swifter than he had thought he would get his first win. As the redhead shudders at the road that he is about to have to travel, we move over to the main stadium as Tyson awaits his opponent. The crowd is growing restless. However, just like Morrison, at the 1-minute warning, Ash emerges from the locker room. The crowd erupts as they can finally witness the battle that they came to see. Smiling, Tyson yells that he was worried that he was going to get this win with no contest. Sorry about that, there was just something that I needed to take care of first, but I'm here now, so I hope you're ready for a battle that you will never forget. Pikachu sparks as Meow stares down. Tyson smiles. I hope that you would say something like that. While in the crowd, Brock, May, and Max watch on. Max is full of questions, but May is simply locked on the battle, trying to distract herself. Brock is in the same boat, but for a different reason. Did you use it, he thinks to himself. But in this moment, Ash looks up at the breeder and cracks a smile. This is going to be a good one, Brock mutters. Down on the battlefield, both trainers have been explained the rules. The first to lose 3 Pokemon will trigger a field change. The first one that they are starting out on is going to be a grass battlefield. With the command to start, both trainers pull out their first Pokeballs, throwing them in at the same time. Ash's command is a familiar one. Mawile, I choose you. The steel type emerges with a graceful entrance. However, Tyson's Pokemon is going to be a bit more brutal, as from his ball pops a sturdy looking Pokemon that Ash has only ever seen one other trainer with, a Crawdont. Above, Sydney watches, thinking that he likes the cut of this boy's jib. A dark type is his kind of Pokemon. Now let's just see how he uses it. Back down below, Ash and Tyson waste no time in getting things started. Sandstorm, Ash yells to set the tone. A veil of loose sand covers the grass, making things hard for Tyson to see, but he has an idea on how to out this, yelling for a crab hammer to be slammed into the ground. This causes the storm to split, revealing Mawile is much closer than Tyson had thought, with Ash calling for a crunch. However, Tyson is no fool and thought this might happen, ordering a knockoff with the other pincer of his lobster. This causes stalemate, but the sandstorm envelops the two once more, causing chip damage to begin to stack on Crawdont. Tyson knows that he needs to do something, so he takes a page from Ash's last battle with Vito and he calls for a bubble beam. This causes the storm to thicken as the sand turns to sludge. While this causes damage to Crawdont, this also puts Mawile in a bad spot as the mud strikes it, causing damage as well. This brings the storm to an end, but Ash uses this to his advantage, calling for a hidden power that cooks the mud into a defensive clay around Crawdont. This traps it in place, with Ash telling his steel type to end this with a crunch. Tyson orders his water type to take the attack and secure its defenses with Harden. Doing so, Mawile locks its jaws on the lobster's head and clamps down for some serious damage. But this leaves it exposed. Seeing this opening, Tyson Tyson orders a bubble beam to weaken the mud around it, allowing the lobster to free its pincers. Ash realizes Mawile is in a bad spot as a double crab hammer comes from both sides, slamming down on the steel princess. The boy tries to guard with a sandstorm, but Mawile is unable to raise the defense in time as the battle is brought to an end with a tone-deafening thud. The steel type goes limp as it is recalled. Well, Ash, it seems that I have the lead. I hope this won't be the tone for the battle, Tyson says. Our hero responds stating that it's only the first battle. While he wanted Mawile to win, there's no need to lose hope just yet as he pulls out his second Pokeball. Wanting to keep his momentum going, Tyson recalls his lobster, aiming to use someone fresh to win the next bout. In tandem, both trainers call on their next choices. For Tyson, it's another Pokemon that Ash has not seen him use before, in the Fire-type Camerupt. However, for Ash, it's going to be one of his best battlers, declaring Vigoroth, I choose you. Both Pokemon emerge from their balls ready to battle. Tyson sees a prime opportunity here to get a great amount of damage in, as this is a grass battlefield and it could be highly flammable. So with the start of the battle given, the boy wastes no time in going for big, calling for an eruption. Suddenly, the lava camel begins to bellow black smoke as the stacks on its back begin to contract. Ash can see that this is going to be something big, so the boy wastes no time ordering Vigoroth in, as the way he sees it, the epicenter will be the place with the least amount of damage. The normal type rushes down the battlefield, as from the back of Camerupt, fire and rocks begin to spew. Vigoroth uses its high energy and small frame to dip, dive, dodge, duck, and dive once again. However, this is to little effect as the amount of boulders are too much as it steps out in front of one, only for another to come crashing down on top. Smiling, Tyson knows that he has this, but Vigoroth is just as stubborn as its trainer. At the command of Ash, it charges a Crush Claw, then launches itself into the rock. The normal type cracks it apart and pushes through in the direction of Camerupt. However, in an act that is going to cause everyone in the stadium and even the two elites, Sydney and Glacia, that are watching to stand up in shock and awe, Vigoroth begins to glow in an evolutionary light. This blinds Camerupt as Tyson commands it to counter with a body slam. The fire type does what it can to find its target, throwing all of its weight into the light. However, a loud thud can be heard as the light subsides. There stands Slaking with its former claw, now a fist, glowing in a way that Ash doesn't understand. But that's not the important part, as it has connected with the head of Camerupt, causing it to drop like a sack of pecha berries. This leaves both Ash and Tyson a bit stunned, but they are not the only ones, as Glacia is having flashbacks to the battle that Ash had with Moore.
This thing has actually grown into a force to be reckoned with. It appears I may have judged the boy a bit too harshly.
But Glacia isn't the only one that is having thoughts, as across the region in Petalburg City, Norman sits watching the battle with a smile on his face. I knew you would be a great battler one day. It just took Ash to bring it out, he thinks. We then move over to the stands as Brock, May, and Max all look on as the first Pokemon that Ash caught in the region just took its final form. Brock is impressed, wondering how this will change the battle, while May is so caught up for the moment she has forgotten about all the things that have been haunting her mind. However, Max is the one that has the most surprised reaction. Before, he would have lamented Ash for this and think that Slaking is moving even farther away from him, but he is actually the one that breaks the silence of everyone as he begins to cheer for his friend, louder than May has ever heard before. That's right, he yells. There's no way you will be able to beat Slaking. May is proud of Max. After all the things that they went through, he has finally learned to be happy for the people around him. Back on the battlefield, Slaking pulls back its fist and looks at it, a bit stunned at what just happened. But its trainer shares the same feeling. Calling to it, Slaking turns as Tyson recalls his Pokemon. He watches as Ash and Slaking converse. This could be a big problem, he thinks to himself, but I think I may have the solution to it. Over with Ash, Pikachu mounts Slaking's shoulder as the boy uses his Pokedex to learn that Crush Claw had turned into a Focus Punch. Its evolution was the gateway for this new move, as well as new strength. Beating its chest, Slaking is running on adrenaline of its evolution, so Ash questions if it still wants to battle. Slamming both fists in the ground, Slaking nods. This is just in time, as the ref is calling for Ash to make his next choice. Well then, let's do this, Ash says, as Slaking slowly walks back out to the battlefield. I was hoping to save this Pokemon for a little bit later, Tyson says, but I may not have an option, calling on a Pokemon that was very different from the last time that Ash saw it. Tyson's newly evolved Metagross. So your Metang evolved? Ash questions? Yep, right before the league started. I was saving it for our battle as I thought it would give me an edge for victory, but it seems that fate had other plans for our battle. With a bead on his chest, Slacking confirms this as the order is given to start. Focus Punch, Meteor Mash. The two Goliaths collide in the middle of the battlefield as we move back over to the battle with Morrison and Katie. But things are not looking too good for the redhead. His Hitmontop and Sunflora have both fallen to Katie and her Gengar, though Sunflora was able to cause a bit more trouble for Katie with the moves like Leech Seed, Ingreen, and Light Screen. As a result, a bit of frustration has set in as her cool beauty persona slowly fades away, though Morrison is completely unaware of this at the time as he is more focused on taking out Gengar. It's a bit winded, and Katie has yet to recall it to break the Leech Seed, so maybe there's a chance, the boy thinks to himself, calling on his Murkrow to take the next battle. Knowing that she needs to end this quickly, Katie calls for another Hypnosis, as she doesn't want the same thing to happen with Sunflora to happen here. But as Gengar begins to chant its name, Murkrow just follows through with an attack that Morrison had called for, a mean look. Hey, explain, Katie demands. Their attack was clean, but your bird does not seem to understand its place in the picture. Just like you, it should be asleep. However, Morrison simply says he doesn't know why, only for Katie to think about the Murkrow line and realizes that she just was unintentionally lured into a trap. Your bird, its ability is insomnia. Maybe, Morrison responds. That would explain why I could never get it to go to sleep. This causes Katie to nearly have a brain aneurysm from Morrison's stupidity. She planned this all out, but he is just barely hanging on by pure luck. And now she can't recall Gengar? Knowing full well what this means, Katie decides to make the most of this, calling for an Ice Punch. But Morrison reveals the reason why he actually sent Murkrow in, as it counters with a Steel Wing. The Ice Punch is what ended Sunflora, so he knew Murkrow was the only thing that he had that could battle in the sky and counter the ice move. Stopping Gengar causes no damage to the Dark type, and the Leech Seed drains the last of the Ghost Strength. This finally gives Morrison a win, which the boy celebrates. Recalling Gengar, Katie rubs her temple, trying to wrap her brain around what just happened, but she won't give Morrison the satisfaction of beating her any longer, calling on her second Pokemon of this battle, an Altaria, that takes to the sky with speed that the boy knows that Murkrow will not be able to compete with, though he chooses to leave it in, as he knows that he has nothing else that will be able to battle in the air. As Murkrow flies up to face its opponent, the call to start is given. Katie wastes no time in ordering a Dragon's Breath. However, Morrison tells his flyer to take it and counter with another mean look. This once again locks Katie's Mon into battle. She feels pretty confident about this, as it seems that the strength between the two flyers differs greatly, but this confidence is going to be rattled when Morrison calls for his next move, a Perish Song. Squawking away, Murkrow sounds the song of its opponent's demise. Then, to add insult to injury, Morrison recalls the bird, causing Altaria to miss an aerial ace. Katie is beginning to panic, as she can do nothing. She's going to lose her second Pokemon, whether she likes it or not. But Morrison isn't done, as he calls upon his Steelix for his fourth choice in this battle. Katie knows she needs to end this before the next two turns are up, so in desperation, she calls for an Earthquake as Morrison calls for a Dig. As Morrison finds his second wind, we move back over to the battle with Ash and Tyson. The two are reaching the climax of their two super heavyweights. The battle has been a difficult one, as Metagross has maxed out its defense with Iron Defense, but Slacking has been able to keep up the pressure with Slack-Offs that restore its health every time it takes a critical hit. While it seems even, as each one is able to match big blow for big blow, this battle is about to reach an end, as the normal type uses a feint attack to dodge a Meteor Mash and make its way behind the Steel type, only to slam its massive arms down on the top of Metagross with enough force that its four legs give out as it is cratered into the battlefield, bringing this scuffle to an end. The crowd's response to this is one of excitement, as they react as if it was the final battle between these two trainers. Both Ash and Tyson look around as Metagross is recalled. It seems that we are having a battle that we promised each other. Ash nods. Yeah, that was great, but the boy has to admit that Slacking used everything it had to take down Metagross. Ariados, as it is breathing heavily, so Ash decides to recall it for the time being, telling Tyson one more win and things will be in his favor heading into the second half. Smiling, the boy states that he aims to be the one with the momentum as he sends in his next Pokemon, the bug type Ariados. Ash knows that he needs to play this smart here. He balanced out the battle in his favor for now, but this could be a problem, so just like Tyson, he chooses to go with someone fresh. Glalie, I choose you. Oh, so I'm not the only one that had an evolution since the last time we battled. Yeah, it happened when we were at the Grand Festival. I lost that battle, but Glalie evolving was worth it as it is able to finally master this move. Now, use Ice Beam. The floating head does as commanded, aiming right for the bug. However, Tyson is able to quickly counter this with a Sonic Boom that shatters the ice and pelts both Pokemon and some chips for damage. Feeling like he needs to take this in close, Ash orders a headbutt. Cracking a smile, Tyson was hoping for this as he orders a Spider's Web. This locks Glalie into place, allowing the bug to use this time to land a devastating Signal Beam. While this does not have a lot of power, it is very close. Ash even tries to recall Glalie, but it fails, only for Tyson to grin, telling Ash that it won't work. Glalie will be locked in this battle until it's over, so he better get ready to take his second loss, as Ariados fires another move that is much more potent, a Sludge Bomb. Seeing there's no way around this, Ash chooses to deploy a tactic from an earlier battle, telling Glalie to spin. This causes friction to build as the floating head turns faster and faster. This poison move causes little damage to the ice type, merely providing a means of its escape as the friction on the webs, combined with the highly corrosive toxin, causes the binding to snap, freeing Glalie as it now is able to complete its trademark spinning headbutt to finally land some damage on Ariados. Tyson can see that this will be more difficult than he thought, so he leads with another Sonic Boom to try and throw Ash off. However, the boy uses this to his advantage, calling for another Ice Beam, though this time it's not aimed at the move itself, but at the ground in front of Glalie, forming a pillar of ice to block the attack. That's it, Ash yells. Keep it up. Use Ice Beam on the whole battlefield, causing pillars to erect all over. Tyson is a bit confused at what Ash is trying to do. However, he won't have to wait long to find out. At the command of its trainer, the ice type launches itself into the pillars as it ricochets around the battlefield like a pinball. Tyson can see that this is a problem, so he orders his bug to string up spider webs all around the area in an attempt to catch Glalie, but this doesn't go the way that he had planned, as they are just shy of ensnaring it. Though Tyson is feeling pretty good about his defense, as there are literal nets between Ariados and the ice head. Well, that is until Glalie uses one of the webs to bounce off and catch more speed. That's when Tyson clues into what Ash was doing. He wanted this to happen. Knowing he needs to slow Glalie down, Tyson orders a Sonic Boom, but it's too slow. The bouncing has reached Supersonic itself and is now headed for Ariados. Now, use Headbutt, Ash yells. Knowing it's all or nothing, Tyson commands a Sludge Bomb in an attempt to knock Glalie out before it connects, but the ice type just blows through and slams into the bug with enough force that they both crash through several pillars of ice before rolling over each other and getting caught in the webs. As the two come to a stop, strung up for the whole stadium to see, it's revealed that both Pokemon have spirals in their eyes, and this battle is a draw. As both trainers recall their Pokemon, this brings Tyson to 3 losses, which means they will have a 15-minute break and a field change. Ash and Pikachu step down so that way they can let their minds rest for a moment. Ash looks up at Brock, May, and Max. He nods briefly before thinking about Morrison. He hopes that his friend is okay and is able to deal with Katie. If there was one trainer that he was going to have a problem with, it would be her. As we fade back over to their battle, Morrison Steelix was able to survive the earthquake thanks to its massive defense and came back to knock out Altaria with an Iron Tail. This prompted both of them to recall their Pokemon and Katie to resort to one of her best, Scizor. Seeing an opportunity, Morrison sent out his Arcanine. Katie chose to engage in it for a moment, but this was only a ploy, as she quickly swapped her Steel type for her Golduck. Morrison tried to do the same, but a confusion causes Arcanine to resist the recall, allowing Golduck to make quick work of the doggo with the Hydro Pump. With Morrison now 3 Pokemon down, they were forced into a field change to the more favorable ice battlefield. This is where we find the two at the start of the second half of the battle, as Katie has chosen to lead with her Victory Belt. Knowing his options are dwindling, Tyson chooses to go with type advantage, sending back in Murkrow. The boy knows it's tired, but they have to keep pushing. They can win if they just believe that they can. This causes Katie to laugh. She is feeling in control once again and states that Morrison has no shot at victory. His team has been ran ragged. It's only a matter of time until she takes them all down. But the truth is, Katie isn't liking the way the battle is going. She thought this would have been over already, but Morrison has managed to prolong her victory every time that it seems like it's within her grasp. So she is going to play this very cautiously for the time being. As the battle starts, Katie shures her defense defense by calling for a reflect. However, Morrison has thrown caution to the wind to use a drill peck that knocks the grass type across the ice, sending it into a spin. This wasn't what she had expected from Morrison, calling for a vine whip from Victory Bell to grab onto one of the ice pillars to save itself. However, these are slick and the grass type is unable to secure a hold as it is losing stability and becomes dizzy. Morrison sees this as a chance and follows up with another drill pick. Katie tries to counter with a slam from her fly trap, but is unable to grab onto anything and ends up taking the bird beak's attack. But this time, Morrison tells the flyer not to let up as he sees what they need to win this. And just like in the battle with Ash and Tyson, Murkrow is able to drive Victory Bell into the ice pillar with enough force that it can't withstand the impact and is knocked out. This puts Katie right back in the position that she was in before halftime. She is being bested by this buffoon and she can't figure out why. She refuses to let this happen, so she recalls her Victory Bell to send back in her scissor. Knowing that his bird is one attack away from fainting, Morrison decides that it's time to recall it before sending back in Steelix. It's the best chance that he has to take out Scissor. Morrison can only hope that the middle snake has the grit to go the distance. As Morrison fights for his right to be in the league, we move back over to Ash and Tyson. The two have already started their battle, as the two Pokemon they have chosen to start the second half is Pikachu and Meowth. While these two have shown respect to each other in the past, the fact is that there's still a natural rivalry that exists between the species, as it's on full display here as the Puss in Boots refuses to give an inch to the electric mouse. The two have been trading blows with the ferocity of the gods. Neither one of them can get the upper hand on the other. This Meowth is almost as proficient with electric attacks as Pikachu, as its Thunderbolt is a dead even with the mouses. Even their Iron Tails seem even. Ash knows that he is going to have to do something besides trade blows with Tyson, or it will come down to conditioning. While Pikachu is tough, the one thing that Ash learned in their last battle is Tyson pays special attention to his Pokemon, as his Sceptile was just a little bit more sturdier than Ash's. So logic would dictate that the same is for all of Tyson's Pokemon. However, the boy has an idea that just might clinch this in their favor. He tells Pikachu to use an Iron Tail, which Tyson easily matches in power, but as the two connect, he yells for the mouse to turn it into an Electro Volley. Doing so supercharges Pikachu's tail and causes electricity to surge through it. Tyson flinches in horror as he realizes the complications of this. Without Meowth using electricity to fend off Pikachu's attacks, and in the middle of an Iron Tail, it has become a lightning rod. The Scratch Cat winces in pain as a very real paralysis sets in before a burst of energy separates the two. Once the dust settles, both Pokemon are still standing, but it's clear that Meowth is now at a huge disadvantage as it bursts with little jolts of electricity. Seeing their opening, Ash calls for a quick attack. The mouse bolts down the field as Tyson orders a double team, but Meowth is unable to execute the move, taking the charge from the mouse. This sends the cat tumbling back, but just as Ash thought, it's still not down. Meowth once again struggles back to its feet and deploys its claws ready for their next exchange. However, Tyson has other plans by recalling it so that way the Scratch Cat can rest and regroup. This causes Ash to get excited as he knows that they are much closer to the win. The boy asks if Pikachu would like to stay in. The mouse nods, feeling that it can go another round. With his next choice being the most critical, Tyson decides that it's time to deploy his first Pokemon, calling on Sceptile. This causes the two boys to briefly flash back to the start of their journey, as this was their first battle with each other in the region, though they never got a chance to finish it, Ash says. Well, we can do that now, Tyson responds as he gives the first order and a Leaf Blade. Pikachu is quick to counter with an Iron Tail that appears to be even with the Woodgecko. However, this is where Tyson reveals that he has been really working hard since their last battle, as Sceptile reinforces this attack with a second blade from its other arm. Slowly, Ash watches as Pikachu is becoming overpowered. If it lets up, then it will be consumed by the blades. Realizing they have no other choice, Ash goes all in, calling for a Thunder. Pikachu sparks as it floods Sceptile with everything that it has left in its body, but this isn't going to be enough as Tyson commands for his starter to use its tail as a ground and feed the electricity into the sand beneath it. This turns everything into a waiting game as Pikachu slowly starts to power down and the Woodgecko pushes through a double slice of its blades, sending the mouse into the stadium wall with enough force that leaves it cratered before sliding to the ground. Stunned by this action, Ash runs to the mouse, calling it by its name and hoping that Pikachu is alright. As the boy picks up his starter, it lets out a brief Pika with a thumbs up. Ash tells it not to worry, leave the rest to him and the others. They will beat Tyson and move on to the finals. Ash then walks back to his platform and sets Pikachu down before looking over at Tyson and Sceptile. Man, they really have been training. this isn't the same Pokemon that we fought a month ago. I'm definitely going to have to be on my toes. Tyson tells Ash that it seems he's a little hesitant. Maybe he's realizing that Tyson has already won, but Ash simply smiles. He was just taking in the moment. After all, he has every plan to win this match and move on to the finals. Well, show me what you got, Tyson yells. Oh, don't worry. I will. Slacking. I choose you. Emerging from the ball, the Kong takes a knee. Seeing this, Ash realizes that this battle with Metagross took more out of it than he thought. They're going to have to make this quick. With the start of the battle, Ash calls for a focus punch. Slacking is able to put its overwhelming strength into the attack, but Tyson is quick to remind Ash that his Sceptile has a move that will take advantage of brute force in Detect. This allows the grass starter to evade any damage before striking back with the Leaf Blade, causing the Kong to take a knee once more. Ash yells for Slacking to get up, but it's unable to. This leaves another opening for Sceptile to begin to charge its best attack, a Solar Beam. Tyson aims to end this in one move. It's now or never, Slacking. You need to stand up and use a focus punch. Pushing through the pain, Slacking finds its footing. With everything it has left, it charges a glowing fist aimed for the face of Sceptile. However, it falls just short as the solar energy has been collected, and just like in the battle with Camerupt, it is hit in the face with everything that Sceptile has, dropping the Sloth and bringing this battle to an end. Recalling his normal type, Ash couldn't be prouder. Its evolving and being able to nab him 2 wins today was the best thing it ever could have done. But now the tables have turned. Ash only has 2 Pokemon, while Tyson still has 3. The momentum has shifted, and if Ash doesn't do something, then he's going to lose this battle. Tyson comments on this as he recalls Sceptile for the time being. He tells Ash that he hopes that his last 2 Pokemon are ready. There is a long road ahead of them. Smiling, Ash pulls out a Pokeball of the Mon that he changed this morning. He knows that he is ready. This Pokemon is going to tip things back in his favor. Grumpig, I choose you. Popping from its ball, the swine oinks as it bounces in place. This makes Tyson a bit nervous. The battle Ash had with Vito pushed this thing to a whole new level, but luckily Tyson has the perfect counter right here. Crawdont, go! The red lobster pops from its ball, having a good while to rest before its next altercation. I caught this Pokemon on Dewford Island. It's one of my best raw battlers, so I hope that Grumpig is up for it. Well, there's only one way to find out. Grumpig, use Psychic. A smile cracks on the face of Tyson as he thanks Ash for the opening. All the while, up in the champions box, Sydney is having a meltdown.
No! You bloody dunce. That won't work.
The yell of frustration from the elite is so loud that it even catches the attention of some of the fans wondering what that strange noise is, as they watch Crawdont land a free knockoff for some serious damage. This leaves Ash puzzled. Why did the attack fail? Though he is quick to pick up on it, as there is only one reason a psychic type attack would fail. That's right. Crawdont is part dark type, Tyson responds. That means we'll have no problem wrapping this one up. However, Ash seems to be unfazed. Better I find out now than later, he says. But I don't think that it means that Grumpig is a bad choice. Ain't that right? The swine lets out a cry of its name as it shakes off the attack it just took, and its eyes begin to glow in a purple aura. It seems you haven't learned that it won't work, Ash. Well, let us show you again. Crawdont, use a crab hammer. The lobster jumps, preparing to use its fall to bring down the pincer on the pig. However, Ash calls for a psionic barrage, but the target isn't going to be Crawdont, but the area around it, as the stars begin to move at a rapid pace, slamming into each other, causing a series of small explosions to form that set off a chain reaction. The shockwaves from the blasts are what catches the crustacean, as it is blown back from the blast to hit for some serious damage. Well, it seems that you won't be able to win that easily, Ash quips. All the while, Sydney is finally calming down, only for Glacia to speak up.
I know. The thought of having another one of you to battle is a repulsive one. This Tyson boy seems to be the more competent of the two, so let's hope he's the one that we get to battle in the League Challenge.
However, Sydney says nothing, only thinking that Glacia hasn't really seen Ash at his best yet. Back on the field, things have really started to come to a head, as the light screen and Harden has been employed by both trainers. This allows them to prolong the battle just that much longer. Tyson uses his immunity to take advantage, while Ash is forced to get a little bit more creative in baiting the crustacean with a psychic. Seeing this as another free opening, Tyson takes it, aiming to end this with a knockoff. However, the bait laid by Ash was too tempting, as Tyson couldn't see the real plan. Just as the pincers connect, Grumpig's eyes flash with a purple glow. This catches Crawdaunt in a glare that forces it into a confusion, which results in it missing the knockoff and slamming itself into the ground, allowing a follow-up of a swift from Ash. This isn't enough to take out the lobster, but it sends a message that things are not going to go too well, forcing Tyson to recall it to break the confusion. The boy knows that he has little options, as all of his remaining Pokemon have battled, but he needs to push through. Ash only has 2 Pokemon to his 3, so the numbers are in his favor. He makes the decision to send back in Meowth in hopes that it will be able to shake off the battle that it had with Pikachu, and in this, Ash knows that they should keep its distance as it is what will allow him to win here. So he commands a Swift. As Grumpig prepares to fire the stars, we shift back over to the battle with Katie and Morrison. Much to the girls' frustration, Steelix had the defense to keep her Mantis at bay and clutch out another win with a Dragon's Breath that had made the bug unable to move, leaving it completely open to an Iron Tail. Down to her final 2 Pokemon, Katie is finally realizing that she is behind Morrison. The numbers are in his favor and are causing her cool exterior to begin to melt, as the thought of Morrison stumbling his way to a victory infuriates her. This forces her hand, sending the only Pokemon that she has not yet to reveal in this battle, an X-Cloud. Morrison has a very important choice to make here, as Steelix is tired, but he knows that it's the only thing he really has that may offer some type of resistance to this thing. So ultimately, the redhead decides to keep in the Iron Snake. Katie wastes no time in calling for a Brick Break. In order to avoid the damage, Tyson calls for a Dig. This allows the Metal Serpent to fend off any damage for the time being, but as soon as it surfaces, Katie is back on the attack with the Hyper Beam, as her irritation has reached a maximum level. This should be a knockout, but Steelix has a Guardian Angel in the form of its ability, Sturdy. This allows Morrison one last chance to get in some serious damage, as X-Cloud must recharge, so the boy puts everything he has into the attack with an Iron Tail. With its tail glowing in a metal energy, Steelix lets loose with everything that it has, sending X-Cloud sliding through some ice pillars. As it comes to a stop, Katie sees her chance to end this, calling for another Brick Break. Steelix is too tired to respond with a Dig that is commanded by Morrison, and the attack brings this battle to an end as Steelix crashes to the ground with a thud that shakes the stadium. Morrison knows that things are going to be rough from here on out, as he was secretly hoping that it had the endurance to ride him to victory. Katie can see it on his face, even commenting on it, trying to goad Morrison into making a mistake. However, the cool beauty and her analytical brain are at work here, as she sees that X-Cloud is her path to victory, so she decides to recall the normal type in order to send back in her Golduck. This is something that Morrison wasn't expecting. Golduck was able to easily take out his Arcanine with little to no effort, so the boy hopes that his final Pokemon can lead him to victory. However, as he prepares the ball, an explosion echoes throughout the valley that didn't come from their battle. This causes the whole stadium to fall silent as a pillar of energy is sent into the sky. Immediately, they know that it is coming from the other top 4 battle. Morrison looks up, feeling a strange sense of calm. If Ash is giving it his all, then he needs to as well. If he loses, then he will leave nothing left to question. Morrison then points at Katie. "You won't stop us," he yells, clenching one of his last 2 balls as another pillar of energy is sent in the air. Katie smiles. "I would rather be in that battle, but in order to get to that level of competition, I will need to first finish this here. So send in your next Pokemon, so I can end this pathetic excuse for a top 4 battle." "Oh, don't worry, you'll get the battle you want," Morrison thinks. As those two enter their final stretch, we move over to Ash and Tyson. We are in the exact moment that the second pillar of energy is subsiding, and they are beginning to see what was happening on the battlefield. As both boys peer out, they can see the sand has been blown away to reveal a rocky bed that was resting below it all along. It's very uneven, and the 2 Pokemon that caused the explosion are waiting for their trainer's commands. The 2 grass starters of the region, the Sceptile. Leading up to this point, Grumpig was able to deal with Meowth, but took some serious damage in the process. This is what ultimately led to Crawdaunt beating Grumpig, leaving Ash with only Sceptile, though it was able to easily deal with the Lobster. Leading us to this point, both Woodgeckos staring each other down. The Solar Beam came from Tyson's Sceptile in an attempt to pressure Ash into a mistake. However, a Rock Tomb proved to be the difference maker, as it was able to trap the Grass type, funneling up the energy that it had gathered and forcing Tyson's Mon to feel the brunt of the attack. Though there was one thing that put Ash in a concerning spot. The explosion of stones pelted Sceptile with a few that hit one of its legs. This has caused it to favor it continuing the battle. Tyson can see this and cracks a smile. "Well, it looks like we are in the end game, Ash, but I don't think things will be any different than our last battle." However, from Ash's position, he doesn't see it that way, but Tyson has been hiding something about his Mon for this exact moment, which Ash is going to see firsthand as Tyson's Grass type has activated its overgrowth. "Wait, I thought it couldn't activate that, Ash responds. Tyson explains that he and Sceptile have been working hard since their last battle to unlock this ability. After their last battle they had, Tyson realized that the only way they would have a chance to win is if they left nothing to chance. Smiling, Ash tells Tyson that he's glad that they can't hold back anymore. This means that the winner will be the one that deserves it. Now, let's go, Sceptile. Use quick attack, Ash yells. Speeding down the field, it is met with a leaf blade from its counterpart, taking a slash across the belly. While this seems to be bad for Ash as his Mon takes a knee, the fact is, he wanted this as his Sceptile begins to glow in the same aura as Tyson. The boy reveals that Ash intentionally took the damage. Smiling, Sceptile stands back up and shows no fear in putting itself at the disadvantage. It looks like we are in the final moments, Tyson says. Nodding, Ash states that he and Sceptile will hold nothing back. He hopes Tyson will do the same. The boy tells Ash that he has no reservations about the end. He knew it would come down to this. Then simultaneously, both Sceptile charge their blades as their partners give the orders to attack. What follows is an all-out battle with both Pokemon trading blow for blow, choosing to throw defense to the wind. This is a battle of pure adrenaline. Only the one with the stronger will is going to pull through. However, there is something that is noticeable here. With each blow, Tyson's grass type glows more intense in a green aura, while Ash's remains relatively the same. However, that's when Tyson realizes what is happening. What he thought was a battle of leaf blades was in fact not, as with each connection, his Mon is slowly losing strength. Smiling, Ash asks if Tyson forgot about Sceptile's combo move, Giga Blade. Realizing that they need to end this, Tyson calls for his Sceptile to charge another Solar Beam. They have to unleash as much power as possible. The Wood Gecko does so, trying to trade blows with its opponent, though this splits its concentration, allowing Ash and Sceptile the opening that they need. With one final command, both boys call for their final attack. As Tyson's Mon unleashes its Solar Beam at point-blank range, Ash orders for his grass type to put one of its blades in the mouth of the other. This causes an explosion to form, engulfing the two in another pillar of light, causing wind and sand to blow throughout the area. Everyone watches, trying to see the results. Slowly, as the light fades and the dust settles, they can see that the two Sceptiles are locked in a grasp with each other. The ref announces that it looks like the battle is still on. Ash tells Sceptile to move away, to which it does, only to lose its footing and stumble over, as Tyson's Mon just stands there seemingly ready for more. Come on, Ash yells. Get up. I know you can, Sceptile. The grass starter struggles back to its feet. The only driving force is the memories of the road that it took to get here, the battles, the failures. It drives Sceptile to rise again, breathing very heavily. Knowing his next exchange will be their last, Tyson calls for a Leaf Blade once more. His Sceptile, still glowing in a faint aura, steps forward to deliver the final blow. Ash yells for Sceptile to do something, but it can barely stand. Those rocks that hit its leg coming into play here. But as it watches, unable to move, the aura around its opponent dissipates, and it falls to the ground with a thud and spirals in its eyes. Both Ash and Sceptile look on in shock, unsure about what this means. But as the crowd begins to cheer, the announcement is made. Ash is the winner as his name flashes on the screen above. Sceptile then doubles over, causing the boy to run out as Tyson recalls his starter. The two trainers meet in the middle as Tyson offers a handshake. Well, it seems the better trainer won today. It was a great battle, Ash. Accepting the gesture, Ash thanks Tyson for the battle. If they didn't have him as a rival, then they may not have ever made it this far in the league. Well, don't let that be the reason you lose in the finals. I won't, Ash says, as they both laugh. Speaking of that, Ash wonders who his opponent is going to be, but then it's revealed that the other battle is still going on. Realizing they can catch the end, Ash recalls Sceptile and grabs Pikachu before he and Tyson run out of the stadium, leaving everyone confused about what is going on. However, Brock knows, as he wonders what the outcome of the other battle is himself. As the officials in the other stadium try to gain some sort of order over their combatants suddenly just up and leaving, we move over to Tyson and Ash as they are nearly at the top of the stand so that way they can see into the battle. But as they near, an explosion can be heard that rocks the stadium of the second battle. Realizing that that was something big, the two rush, hoping that they didn't miss anything. However, as they come into view of the battlefield, they see a very perplexing sight. Both an Exploud and an Electrode lay in the middle of the battlefield, knocked out, as the crowd watches in a stunned silence. As this is happening, we fade from Evergrande City as we follow with the one person that has been absent from the festivities this whole time, Drake. The old sea dog is in a very peculiar place, but as he knocks on the door, he is greeted by an old friend.
More? We need to talk.
And this is where we are going to leave things for now. So tell me, did you enjoy this part? How do you feel about the double perspective for the battles and how they shifted between both of the top 4s? Did you enjoy the Ash and Tyson battle? Who won the Morrison and Katie battle? And why is Drake in Lava Ridge seeking the counsel of his old Elite Four friend? Let me know your guys' comments and your thoughts down below.